This review is about Neil MacDonald's attack, the subtle art of winning brilliantly. The author begins the book telling a story about a world champion which advises us, lower mortals and common tournament players or club players, that in order to win, we must be daring, we must attack, we must learn about that. And the author says, Neil MacDonald says, can you guess who is the world champion who gave you this advice? Everybody would say, oh, obviously it's Tal, or it's Alekhine. And instead, no, it's Capablanca. And obviously, we know that at the high level, like Karpov and Kasparov, the attacking can be deadly because if you attack too much, the other person, like Karpov, will beat you down because he has great defensive skills. So it's better to play very solidly and calmly. But for us tournament players, definitely this is a good advice. And here I would like to show you one game from this book. Of course, the book is divided in many chapters. Neil MacDonald has written many books, so he's really a good coach. And here you can see the chapter. Like it obviously starts with trapping the king in the center. This is a thing you will see in many games. Kasparov games are an important example too. Maybe not in this book, but you can watch every champion because in the beginning they do that. Gaining momentum with threats against pieces, exploiting a strong point near the enemy line, death on the diagonal. And this is a very important thing, in fact. Foreign against the Indian bishop, Indian obviously like the king's Indian, wielding the small stick, preventing reinforcements, rescuing the king, getting in the rooks, and from ducking to punching. Now, why it's important? Because the author also said he put a lot of analysis, but he said in the beginning just enjoy the games. Then little later you can use the analysis as a tactical exercise. And that's what I generally do. So I will tell you sometimes to pause the video and you will treat it as a tactical exercise, making this book review something that is useful to you for learning chess and improving. The game I'm going to show you from this book is game 29. It is between M. Santos Ruiz and R. Pragananda. I don't know if I pronounce well the Pragananda, but I hope so. It was played in New Delhi 2019. The good thing is that this game starts at 158, at page 158, and ends up at page 164, telling you how big is the analysis because the game is just 29 moves long. So there are a lot of diagrams and there are a lot of analysis and questions. So that's why you want to buy a book like this one, because it will help you in improving through the questions. So you have to stop at the diagram and answer the question. Okay? Okay. E4, C5, knight F3, E6, D4, C takes D4, knight takes D4, and knight F6. Here there is a question. No fewer than 151 players on my database have seen fit to keep the knight with E5 here. Why is that not advisable? Okay, so the author is asking you why someone has made the mistake of playing this move. So pause the video and try to figure it out why. I already know the answer, because the problem is that you didn't develop a knight c3, and so what happens is that when you go on the 5th rank, the next move is queen a5, attacking the king e1, and the pawn e5 at the same time. Yeah, and the answer, yes, it's just given by the author in this way, so you can read it in the book. These are things that obviously you will be accustomed to when... Okay, sorry for the phone call. These are things that you will be accustomed to if you watch enough games. So that's why it's important to watch games. Knight c3, knight c6, knight takes c6, b takes c6, and now e5. Because you see, the thing is that now you have this knight here that prevents a fork, right? Now the pawn can chase the knight from f6 without fear of a queen check. Knight d5 and knight e4. White clears the way to push back the black knight from its center post with c2, c4, and bring his own horse into contact with the hole on d6. So here black played something that is dubious, rook b8, and the author obviously analyze and tell you that this position has been reached many times. The most common line is a bit crazy. Guess what? The most common line is queen c7. Okay, and here there are the analyses. But let's continue with rook b8, bishop d3. Santos Ruiz delays prodding the knight with c2, c4 in favor of developing his pieces and neutralizing any potential pressure from the black queen. Queen c7. Perhaps he should change approach and try to mix the things with 9 f5, he says. Okay. So he says black maybe should have tried something like this. Interesting. Yeah. Maybe, nobody wants to play this move because generally weaken the king side and they are afraid of the long-term consequences that are difficult to evaluate, especially in the opening. So we saw queen c7, to which white plays f4, queen b6, queen e2, and bishop e7. And then now he plays c4. So look at how white was preparing this move that was needed, but he didn't play it right away. And now black does play f5. The counterattack will secure a retreat square on f6 for the black knight. Knight d6. Much better than, obviously, here there was the possibility of e takes f6, which is the en passant, and you have this chance only one time. So, knight d6, bishop takes d6, and e takes d6. And now, knight f6. So this is why this line was good probably for black. Here there is a diagram, and the author says, question, decide on the best way to develop white's dark square bishop, and what happens after bishop takes f5. Popping off the pawn, see next move and comment after it. Okay, so let's see the next move. So he says the following. Let me see. Okay, so the author is asking you why you cannot play this move. Okay, bishop takes f5. And he says, obviously, here there is a half a page of analysis of what could have happened, and it's kind of interesting because it points the attention to the fact that you need to know where to put this, and so you need to solve this opening problem, okay? Not this bishop takes f5. But if you would have played bishop takes f5, which is a mistake, he says, I hope you didn't waste your time thinking about queen b4 or castle, because the move once more is queen a5, giving check and picking up the enemy bishop. So that's why that move is not good. Instead, white at this point, if you have paused the video and try to find the right move is b3, which is given an exclamation point. Castle. And here, obviously, he gives some analysis if black would have played queen d4 instead of castling. Bishop b2. This is the interesting thing. Where did he want to develop this bishop? Obviously, it wasn't on this diagonal here or here. Here it's where it's most active and will create a problem for black. a5. And now, amazing move, castle long side. Practically, white is castling in the mouth of the lion. This is very interesting. And here, Neil McDonald says, we are going to witness a battle between attacking plans. The outcome, a win for white or a win for black. There is no talk of a draw. Will be decided by the answer to a single question. Namely, can white use his dark square bishop to strike a deadly blow against g7 before black light square bishop can engineer the collapse of a b3 point? Okay. Long enough to get his fourth. Conversely, Pragananda need to have the storm on the king side until he can demolish the defenses along the b5. Obviously, so this is simply a attack on opposite wing. Okay. a4, bishop c2, a takes b3, a takes b3, and c5. And now the way is clear for the bishop to emerge from its slumber and head for e4. Its subsequent exchange on c2 will remove the defender of a b3 pawn. Question: how should white respond to the threat to dismantle his king's defense? So here it's asking you to get the white side and decide what you want to play in this position. The right situation, the right move is g4. There must be no hesitancy when pursuing the attack. Say white played a nervous preparatory move such as h3, then the initiative switches to black. So he says you must attack. h3 wouldn't do the trick. Be careful, you need to really don't lose even a tempo. And here he continues to explain why. Black, however, plays also a good move, bishop b7, because obviously the idea, once more, is to attack the queen side where the enemy king is placed. Okay, let's see how the game continues. He continues with the rook hg1. Obviously, the rook was attacked by the bishop. Bishop e4, as we said, obviously black wants to remove the defender of this pawn so he can finally attack the enemy king. And white g takes f5. And here there is another diagram with a question. If now e takes f5, bishop takes e4, f takes e4, white has a breakthrough with what? I will stop you and not tell you what, because this is a very interesting position. So he's asking if black played this, and this, what would you play now as white? But in reality, it gives it to you. And it tells you that white, you need to work out the variation to prove that white is winning, okay? If you pause the video and try to find the variation, I will tell you the moves, okay? It says, rook takes g7, king takes g7, queen g4. Beautiful move because this is pinned by this, okay? And now it tells you, work out the variation which proves that white is winning, okay? I will leave you to that. Okay, I definitely like this book because they put a diagram in the right place so I was able to reconstruct the position without making mistakes. Sometimes some authors, they ask you a question which is important after a variation, which is like 3-4 moves. They don't put the diagram. How do you return back to that position? I don't know. Okay, so this is very nice. However, black in the game played bishop takes c2, and here, however, Neil MacDonald, the author, gives the entire variation that you should have worked out in order to prove that white is winning, okay? So he's giving you that variation. That's interesting. So you don't have to use a computer to find it out. The game continues with queen takes c2, and here there is another diagram. And it says, question, after 23, queen takes b3. Why shouldn't be obsessed with trying to mate the black king? Can you see something better for white? So, can you see something better for white? Also here there is the answer. So, if you have paused the video and work out the variation, I will give you the answer in this case because I can return back to the position thanks to another good diagram put by the author. The variation is queen takes b3 and rook takes b3, f takes e6, d takes e6, and now there is bishop takes f6. But there is also d7 as a possibility, rook takes f6, and d7. And the white pawn runs through, so it's unstoppable. That's very interesting. Okay, let's return back to the position. I honestly like this game because generally I'm kind of a little scary of this pawn so advanced because sometimes you cannot really defend it and things become difficult, but in this game you can see that it was a good choice, so very interesting. Okay, so after queen takes c2, the game continues with e takes f5, queen takes f5, and here there is another question. Notice that we are just few moves from the end, okay? Giving black the chance to complete his plan of conquering b3 with 24, queen takes b3. How would white then respond? And here, again, you need to do your homework. Here there is the line, however. In the game, black played knight e8. And now stop and try to see how you win, maybe, but I think it's easy to see. Rook takes g7. By now is a familiar idea, the author says. Knight takes g7, queen e5, obviously threatening the checkmate. Rook f7, queen g1, now everybody's on the attack, king f8. Rook takes g7 again, queen d8. And how does white win? This is honestly a simple tactical theme that you should have seen previously. If you have not seen it, it's very beautiful and it's very simple. It's rook g8 because the idea is that you give checkmate here if he takes, okay? So that was a beautiful game from this book, Neil MacDonald, The Subtle Art of Winning Brilliantly. If more people are interested, I can post new videos with games from this book. Otherwise, just buy it and work through, and it will be a great chess improvement.